Hello, everybody. Welcome to Elden Ring trailer breakdown with Mr. Miyazaki himself, giving us a little bit more details on the game. I have the wonderful Insidious Enigma, but if you're a fan of the channel, you know him as Dan. Hey, Dan.
Wonderful's a bit of an overstatement there. I don't know if I'd use that word.
Now, would you say, Dan, that
Mhm.
you are a fan of the Souls franchise?
Absolutely. 1, 2, and 3, Dark Souls, going through all of them. I haven't done Demon Souls because I am a young babby, so I wasn't around when the original one was out, and I don't have a PS5 to play the remake.
Yep.
Um, I've touched a little bit on Sekiro. It's not really my style,
Okay.
but
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, I think personally I have, well, anyone who's been around the channel for a long time will probably remember my Sekiro streams and the frustration that ensued with that. But yeah, I've played every single FromSoft game since Ninja Blade. Um,
yeah, see,
so
I'm way too young for that.
I love that game. It was so over the top. It's great. You surf a missile at one point. Um, but yeah, so I love FromSoft games. They're amazing. As someone who used to hate boss fights, I now love them, especially when they're done as well as these guys. So obviously, Elden Ring, open world, FromSoft game. Super keen. This has been like teased for ages now. Everyone had theories and they made up their own. There was a whole Reddit dedicated to, I believe, where they were just making up like these whole crazy worlds and all these different things based on the little snippets that they'd received from the trailers.
Well,
But
I tried to distance myself from everything just as soon as I heard about it. So like I've not seen any like trailers on it. I've not seen any screenshots. I didn't look at the
oh,
Reddit or anything.
so you haven't seen the new trailer that dropped from the E3?
No, not at all. The only thing I have seen is I don't even remember if it was a screenshot or like a concept art for the title screen.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's jump into this then. So I've obviously seen the Elden Ring trailer, gameplay trailer that they released during E3. Um, but this is the trailer with Miyazaki's um discussion over it, which apparently, according to everything I've seen, has added a whole bunch more information. So I'm super keen to dive into that and see just what extra juicy details we can find out. And I guess for you, being able to see it for the gameplay for the first time will be an experience in itself.
Absolutely.
A lowly tarnished, playing as a lord.
You really saw that one in his chest.
I command thee.
We have very quickly gone from
I love the
having
bosses.
absolutely zero information.
When I saw this trailer, the variety in locations and the variety in bosses looks amazing.
I was fortunate enough to talk
That was
to
one
the
of the things.
godfather
Each of the
himself,
Dark Souls
Hidetaka
games had
Miyazaki,
their own
who
sort
gave
of
me
thing
a
they
huge
focused
amount
on.
of information on the game
Yep.
that totally recontextualizes what we saw in the most recent trailer. Here's what's really going on in the lands between.
Okay.
This one looks to be about combining all of them. Location, boss
Yeah.
type.
Feels like it. And you can apparently jump up cliffs with your mount, which is awesome. Okay, who are the
Opens up
tarnished?
in a very typical Souls-like fashion, with a softly spoken woman uttering a very cryptic message.
The tarnished will soon return.
Her lips
So,
ain't
who
even
are
moving.
the tarnished? Well, for one, it's you. The player character is one of the tarnished, much like in the Dark Souls games where you are a chosen undead or an ashen one. To explain what
Alright.
it means to be tarnished, we must first explain a little
Werewolf,
bit about the
cool.
world of Elden Ring,
Excellent.
known as the Lands Between. The Lands Between and the people who reside within it, both great and small, were blessed by the Elden Ring and the Erd Tree, which symbolizes its presence. Those given
Right.
grace by the ring are characterized by having a golden aura that's predominantly shown in their eyes. However, after a time, for one reason or another, some individuals lose this grace, and were thus exiled from the Lands Between, labeled as tarnished.
Okay, that's cool.
Excellent. Fallen from grace.
Then,
Just
for reasons
yeah.
unknown, the Elden Ring was shattered.
Heaven
Its
and hell.
pieces picked up and carried by many of the bosses
Excellent.
that you'll eventually come to
More
fight in the
dragons?
game. The
Yep.
destruction of the Elden Ring calls out to the Tarnished and compels them to return to the Lands Between, guiding
That
them
one
back
reminds me of
to their
one,
former home. According to Miyazaki, one of
God,
the
what
main
was it?
themes of the game is how the players, the Tarnished, approaches or treats this newfound grace and this return to the land that they were once banished from, how they interpret this and the meaning. Miyazaki
Right.
wants the player to discover for themselves what this return means and how they want to begin their adventure.
So it's almost like
maybe
a Viking-esque, like
The Lands Between is broken up into
Midgard
6 distinct
and
areas,
Valhalla
each
and
overseen by a
Helheim.
particular demigod who
Yeah,
holds a
by the
shard
sense of
Elden
that, it
Ring
feels
and
like
has
they're
been
gonna do like a
twisted
sort
and
of,
warped by its power. I
have you
asked
been
Miyazaki-san
graced with a
if there
second
was an order
chance,
to which
or
you
are
must
you here to
approach
wreck
these
shit
6
up?
areas,
Yeah.
or if the player had total freedom to visit any of them right from the beginning, to which he responded that while you won't be able to access everything from the start, there are a lot of different ways that you can approach each area, and that there's a lot of freedom
Picture
as
had
to
a
which
belt for
order
a
you can
ball.
tackle different areas as well. There will be a hub area that will link these 6 areas, but
That's
it's
cool.
not accessible right from the start of the game. Miyazaki further clarified that each of the 6 areas will house its own mainline dungeon map, which is seamlessly connected to the Lands Between itself. So, from there, you're able to explore these mainline dungeon areas, all of which are interspersed throughout the map.
Cool.
Right. Okay.
So
So
there's a-
And, of
dungeons.
course, while you will
built
be
off
using
of
a
an
horse to travel
overworld.
great distances around
Yeah,
on
so
foot
they seem
or,
to connect
hoof,
to a
there will
hub
be a
of some
fast
sort,
travel
similar
system as well.
to most
Though, of
Souls
course,
games.
Miyazaki's preference is that players enjoyed that aspect of exploration and uncovering the map for themselves. And it seems like there will be plenty of incentive to explore as well. Miyazaki confirmed that the skills that you see in the trailer, like this, and this, can be obtained through exploration. Much
That's
like in the previous
cool.
games where you would find weapons and magic spells. off of
Fantastic.
the
I've always
path.
wanted a lightsaber in
Weapon
Dark
skills
Souls.
can
Let's
also
go.
be interchanged between weapons, and there are more than 100 of them to discover. Which
Wow.
Miyazaki hopes, when combined with the many different weapons and magic spells, will offer build customizations that are richer and more varied than ever before.
That's really
Okay,
cool.
yeah, that's-
Finally, let's
I was
talk
I was
about some of
hoping
these
they'd have
wild
some
enemy
sort of
designs. The main bosses
reward
are
system
demigods who are
for
written by
exploration.
Song of Ice and Fire author
Yeah,
George
100%. If
R.
they got an
R.
open world,
and
they
they
have to.
inherited the mad tainted power of the Elden Ring shards once it was shattered. One of the things Miyazaki wanted to convey in their designs is that they're not just horrible monsters, but that there's an element of heroism and mythology to them as well, as they're essentially the old gods of this world. Each of the demigods fell to madness and ruin in their own individual ways, and FromSoft's designs aim to showcase this dichotomy of heroism and ruin.
Very cool.
Brandish the Elden Ring.
So it looks like they're going heavy on sort of each character's lore and backstory.
That's always
A
been
key
one of the
focus
strong
in
points of
Elden
the Soul
Ring
games,
is to
though.
empower the player with a feeling of freedom, not just in the way in which they explore,
Like, if you just play the game,
but
don't try to
also in the
understand
ways
it.
they
Like, yeah,
approach
it's a good game.
encounters in
But
various
once you actually
situations.
looking into
To
the
that
lore, it's
end,
like,
stealth
man, this
now
is
a viable
amazing.
option in certain situations,
Yeah.
like this moment from the trailer. You're able to crouch, sneak, and be less easily detected in tall grass. And if you're
That's
stealthy enough,
cool.
you can even bypass certain areas or potentially get to a position where you're able to easily assess situations from afar. Miyazaki says FromSoft wanted to create these opportunities for players to see what lies ahead of them, and below them, and around them, and to assess how they're going to confront that or not, as the case may be. So, stealth, while it is a simple implementation, it allows for a lot more of these possibilities.
That's cool.
In addition to using stealth, another key gameplay feature
I think
is
a part of the
ability to
challenge
summon
was,
spirits
though,
to
was
aid
just
you in
being so
battle.
surprised by
This
stuff
is
you could not
nothing new to
predict
the
or
Souls
see
series,
coming.
But what's
Hmm.
different here is that you can
So,
actually summon the
Question is
spirits
then, are they
and
going to
the
keep that
characters
sort
as
of
allies to
implementation
assist
in,
you
or is it
battle.
possible to some degree
There are a large variety of them, so they're a nice
foresee?
collectible element within the game world to discover and equip as you go. Of
That's
course,
awesome.
Miyazaki also made sure to clarify that there would still be online summons.
So he's basically saying just there that I assume once you defeat one of these characters, one of these bosses, you can summon them to help you in combat?
There has to be some drawback. There have to be.
Well, I mean, like they said, it's no strange that you can obviously summon NPC characters, but
Yeah.
to be able to summon like bosses, I assume it's bosses because he says characters, which I assume meaning referencing the characters he was discussing before, which they were highlighting the bosses. So that's crazy. So it's like a a Dark Souls Pokemon. Sounds great.
Where you
Gotta
can bring
kill
other
them
players into your
all.
world for cooperative play as well.
So wait, what was that about cooperative play?
Hang on, yeah, go back.
Summon the spirits of enemy characters as allies to assist you in battle. There
Yeah,
are a
enemy
large variety
spirits.
of them, so they're a nice collectible element within the game world to discover and equip as you go. Of
That's
course,
cool.
Miyazaki also made sure to clarify that there would still be online summons where you could bring other players into your world for cooperative play as well.
Cool.
Oh,
so they
okay,
got
yeah.
co-op, which is good. We'll definitely have to play co-op.
Of course,
100%.
one of the most marketed selling points of Elden Ring is George R.R. Martin. The way Miyazaki describes it, Martin created Elden Ring's foundations, building up the world's history and mythos, which was subsequently iterated on by FromSoft. For example, Martin created the Tarnished and their Lost Grace, a spurring moment for the player character. But then on top of that, Miyazaki explained, FromSoft built a lot of their own world, story, and gameplay elements that are necessary to the game and necessary to the player's guidance, and how they find that footing in the world. Miyazaki said it was a great collaboration, and it was a rather fresh approach for the team. Rather than imposing new restrictions on the game, Martin himself was very open to From Software prioritizing the game's systems and leaving out anything they didn't want to explore, even though that ended up not being the case. Miyazaki explained that Martin's work was a huge source of inspiration and the impetus for the design of the game, so the world building and the systems went
As long as the ending's satisfying, that's all I care about.
Sure, like
From Software has a
a
reputation
world
for its
built by one of the
unique
most
brand of
acclaimed
story told
authors,
predominantly-
and then sort of worked upon by a studio that has like a massive amount of experience working on this kind of game because they created it, essentially, the genre.
Yeah.
Surely that can't go anywhere but great.
Well, I think look, let's face it, George R. R. can make some really cool worlds, but when it comes to storytelling, he's good. It's just, I guess, we haven't got the rest of the Game of Thrones books yet, so we don't know exactly how they play out 100% compared to the show. But yeah, I don't know. As long as FromSoft's handling the story aspect and George R. R. is building the world, I think 100% it's going to be incredible. So
Yeah, and look, by the sounds of it, that's how it is.
yeah,
Miyazaki said that this will continue in Elden Ring. We want to retain that sense of the player discovering things for themselves and enjoying uncovering the world both in terms of action and narrative for themselves. We don't want to force anything on the player. That much has not changed. However, Miyazaki was also keen to express that an ease of understanding is paramount. Elden Ring is more character-focused than previous Souls games. While the player character themselves is a blank slate, other characters will provide a sense of depth and color. Even with all I learned about Elden Ring in the hour I was given to pick Miyazaki's brain, there are still so many questions. What about PvP? How actually does online co-op work? Why does this man have 2 axes, 15 arms, and a bird head that breathes fire?
Oh my god, I didn't even
Like
notice the
all
bird
such
head.
things, it's best to leave some information to be
Not until he
discovered for
pointed it
yourself.
out.
Wow, okay, that is a lot of extra information. Gosh, how to break that down?
Well, that is the breakdown. You can't.
Yeah. So it's a hub world. So it's open world, but it's like multiple dungeons connected to a hub. So that's cool. These zones look massive. So it doesn't look like it would feel constricted.
Isn't that kind of how they did Demon Souls as well? Like you had your big hub area,
Kind of.
and then you would go off into the different worlds.
Difference being you'd teleport to those worlds and then sort of
as opposed to actually traveling.
Yeah, you could like teleport to the bonfire in those locations as opposed to like walking there or riding there, I guess in this case. So that's cool. I like that there's massive dungeons with different sort of feels and vibes to each of them, I'm sure. I assume they're probably gonna have like world bosses and things like that. They got obviously co-op is gonna be awesome. I hope that they have a more substantial co-op system where it's instead of having to spend currency to summon friends, like you can just play the vast majority of the game with someone else would be great.
And is it going to be easier to sort of meet up with your friends and not getting invaded by just gankers?
Yeah.
And yeah, like as I said, like there was nothing mentioned in there about the PvP itself. Like, is that going to be an option or?
Well, they never really sort of, I guess, give you an option except for turning off your router to sort of like stop it. I guess I think you can make your world private. I honestly, I've never really messed around with the settings when it comes to multiplayer. I've just sort of like played it. But yeah, I think that's cool. The fact that sort of I'm going to assume that from rewatching that the enemies that you kill and collect, I'm going to assume they're base NPCs, so like mobs and monsters you find around the world, as opposed to like actual bosses, which is still cool because imagine you could build probably like a really badass roster of like maybe you're fighting something that's weak to fire, so you just summon your like firecaster collection. You know, it's literally like Pokemon where it's like this enemy's weak to fire. Summon Charizard.
By the sounds of it, that the summons work like an equipable, so it's not something you can really do in the heat of the battle. It's sort of something you have to prepare for.
Yeah, which still, that's cool. That's a cool mechanic. I like that it sort of adds an extra depth to sort of the well, you know, resistance play and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it looks great. The mount, I liked it. I guess my issue was when I originally watched the trailer, I love just going through and picking up all those shiny little white orbs all over the place. It's like the most satisfying thing, just being like, "Ooh, what's this going to be? Is it going to be an armor set? What is it?" And obviously in the trailer, probably purposefully, they didn't show anything like any items being around on the ground or anything like that. So I was afraid that they may have taken like a step away from like exploration and item finding. But the fact that they're basically saying that no, there is like 100 weapons, then obviously that's not even including weapon armor sets. Obviously collecting different NPCs like the enemies, move sets, things like that. That's really cool. So it gives you that really awesome incentive to actually go out and explore and do things like that. So yeah, like it's cool. I'm really really excited for this. I know that I can see myself putting a fair few hours into this, especially hopefully with friends. So hey, if you want to see me and Dan play this on stream and you're excited for some fun old boss fights and us getting our tushies beaten up by a giant.
I was going to say, if you want to laugh at us and how much we're getting killed and tell us how much we're doing it wrong.
100%. If you want to see us get burned alive by a giant man with raven head that breathes fire, be sure to hang around and subscribe. But yeah, no, I'm really everything. The more and more I hear about this, the more excited I am, and the more confident I am that it's going to be something really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh well, that's pretty cool. Very good. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Hopefully. Well, actually, you know what? Let us know what you think in the comments. Are you excited? Have you got any secret details we missed? Because I'm really keen to hear as much as possible on this one for sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.